YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Boda back in the building for some more Last Cloudia content. And I caught myself watching one of that Zero's videos. He has a series called Playing Doctor where he goes in, inspects new players or players that just feel like they've kind of hit a wall in their account, and he tries to rearrange priorities, point out specific things to them to get them back on track. Great series, highly suggested. I will link his most recent video right now so you can check it out after you watch this video. But I saw that he got to the man's arcs and pointed out Beast Hunter and why it is such a fantastic arc. The reason it is so dang useful is because it's going to be one of your essentials when it comes to farming. And I thought, it's been a long time since I've wanted to make this video. I'm pretty sure I've got the knowledge and I understand enough to flesh out a nice little farming guide in Last Cloudia. So that's what we're going to tackle in today's video. We're going to talk about the basics of farming, good units to run, good arcs to run, and just the general idea how you want to progress your account in order to take advantage and max out your efficiencies when you are trying to farm for materials. So when it comes to farming in LC, there's kind of a core concept you need to understand before diving into the specific mechanics, and that is every enemy that has the chance to drop an item has the chance to drop 2 items. Think of them as different drop pools. One of the pools is an item that drops when you defeat the enemy on a percentage chance, and the other pool is an item that has a percentage chance to be stolen from that enemy. No more, no less. You can only get a potential of 2 items from an enemy that already has a chance to drop an item, right? If an enemy isn't programmed to drop an item, you can't then steal an item from them. Let's say that specific enemy has the chance to drop a crystallite. They can only be farmed for 2 of those crystallites or 2 of that certain type of drop per run. So now that we understand that, we're going to go ahead and take this team into a gear upgrade field stage. I'm going to go ahead and spend 1 orb just so we can try and see what I'm talking about visually. So I've got my Yashamaru set up as my main farmer. In my opinion, he is the best end game farmer that you can have currently. And here's what I want to try and see, because things in LC kind of move fast on the screen. You got to pay attention to it. I'm going to target this magma rock, and we're going to attack this magma rock until you see a chest drop from it before I actually kill it. And then hopefully after I kill it, it will also drop another chest. You can't guarantee the on-kill chest to drop. That is a set percentage chance that you can only increase that percentage chance one way, and that's by having GWOR, which is a UR arc. I do not have that. But what I have done is try and maximize my Yashamaru to produce a stolen chest from the enemy, which is a chest extra from this magma rock. So here we go. I'm going to first try and normal attack the enemy and try and get the stolen chest from him. So we didn't see the extra chest from the magma rock, but you did see a chest jump up and pop down before I killed any of the enemies on screen. So there you go. That's what a stolen chest looks like. Something that, you know, drops before any of the enemies are defeated. Now let's go ahead and use a skill to try and see any more extras and the chests on kill. So we didn't actually get anything from the magma rock, but there was an extra chest dropped from one of the other enemies, and I believe that was the same enemy that we saw a normal chest drop from just there. Let's go ahead and try this Dumbleborn and see what we can do here. So no, yep, there was that extra drop, and there is the actual drop from the enemy. So that second drop would have happened whether I stole from the enemy or not. But as you saw, we were able to steal, and there's a couple other stolen chests. Let's see what we get from this guy. From that Dumbleborn, we only got a normal drop. Let's see here. And from this guy, we got no drops at all. Maybe we stole in the beginning. I'm not sure. But you're seeing that each enemy has the potential to drop 2 chests only. No more, no less, like I said. Here we go. Let's see what we can see from this. So there's the extra drop. Are we going to see afterwards? No, we're not going to see the actual drop from it. Because like I said, that is a percentage chance you can't manipulate unless you have Great War of Ruin. And right here, what do we got? We got a ton of extra chests. And from this guy, we got no extra chests. And from this one, we only got the actual drop on kill. So you can tell which is which just by paying attention to when the chest pops up during the actual animation. If it's a chest that is dropped from a kill, that chest won't appear until that enemy's completely off of the screen. If you see the chest pop up and drop before the enemy actually leaves the screen, that is a chest that you stole from the enemy. So I've kind of beaten this concept down, kicked it like a dead horse, but here we go on this last stage, which is typically where you want to practice this. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but you can see I brought Beast Hunter, something you always want to bring along with you when you are manually farming stages. I'm going to activate it here. This is going because my Beast Hunter is maxed out. You can see the chests on the enemies because a Arc skill level 10 Beast Hunter has a 100% chance to steal from enemies that can drop an item. At this point, we have to rely on a chance to get that initial drop from killing these enemies, which we can't control. But at that point, I am going to just go ham until all the enemies are dead so I can go ahead and finish off this stage completely. Almost done with it here. And boom, there we go. So now let's see if we do get an actual drop. So the enemy disappears. And we got the on-kill drop right there. Sometimes it takes a little longer for the game to register what's going on. But now you will see the plethora of chests that we did get from the gear upgrade field because we took advantage of farming. You can see a ton of chests. Compared to running this stage without a designated farming strategy, we would see a lot less chests on the screen right now. So you can see, just based off that example, the power of farming. And I hope I didn't confuse anyone who's watching this on just what it looks like, how to spot if it's a stolen chest or a regular chest. Now I want to get into the behind the scenes details on what farming is, what units are good at it, and what things you want to work toward in order to build a viable farming strategy. So let's start with characters, because when you're first starting the game, you'll hear names thrown out, who are good rogues or who are good thieves. Those are going to be the units that are designed in a specific way to actually proc that steal a chest mechanic that I talked about in the beginning. You can see on the screen, Yashamaru is regarded as one of, if not the best stealing unit in the game right now. So a lot of people will say rejoice if you do get him, if you do luck your way to him, because he does come with a certain trait which we can see, Treasurebind. Now it's a bit confusing. Chance for an item after. Okay, so whenever it says like chance for an item, it's talking about the stolen item pool, not the regular item pool. Kind of confusing. The way it's worded, IDAS doesn't do the best job at explaining the difference between them, so we rely on the data miners to figure these things out. But now that you know that, chance for item after extra attacks, which is a specific mechanic, from physical attacks, which mean extra attacks proccing from his skills or his regular attack, specials, or defeating an enemy. And then in parentheses it says 1x/enemy. It just means you can steal one extra item from an enemy. I've never seen anything more than 1x/enemy, so I don't know why they decided to add that to the description, because it kind of just makes it more confusing. But what this trait is telling you is that you want to take any mechanic that gives Yashamaru an extra attack. What are extra attacks? Extra attacks come from the skills like your impacts. Impact, double impact, triple impact. If we scroll down, you can see he comes with some of them innately, right? If it has an SC cost of 0, he comes with double impact and triple impact. So you can see regular attacks deal extra damage. And then for triple impact, regular attacks deal extra damage times 2. And then I did manually place impact regular attacks have a chance to deal extra damage. So what is extra damage? When I hit an enemy, it procs the hit damage. From there, if you pay attention, if a unit is dealing these extra attacks, there's kind of an extra number, literally, that bounces off from the main hit damage ticker. Kind of hard to explain and visualize without noticing it in battle. If you go back and watch the footage that I just showed off with Yashamaru being my farmer, you'll see damage numbers like all over the screen. Compared to a traditional unit who doesn't have extra attacks built into them, they kind of just do their hit, you see which damage number is their hit, and then you're on to the next hit. But in Yashamaru's case, if you notice, there were damage numbers like flying everywhere. The majority of those numbers are these extra attacks. They're like little damage numbers that bounce off of the original hit marker. I hope I'm not confusing too many people, because it's really confusing until you've done it enough times and you start really noticing the difference between your regular damage hits and your extra attacks. But just to understand it on a very surface level, if you see a skill that says anything about extra attacks, know that it has the potential to benefit Yashamaru and his farming, because extra attacks have a chance to proc that stolen item with Yashamaru's trait. Now, this is specific to Yashamaru. I'm going to get into the other units as well, and I think this is going to be a little more lengthy of a video than I originally anticipated. But I want to make sure to try and explain this in depth to just answer as many questions as they're popping up in your head, because the concept of farming for a slower processor like myself, it took me a while to really digest the information, so I want to try and just nail as much of it as I can in this video. I'm sure there will be things I missed, so always check the comments for anyone adding clarification or correcting anything I may have misspoken on. Moving on from Yashamaru's extra attack, or furthering the thoughts on it, the thought process behind it is, on top of extra attacks, you want to increase those extra attacks by as much as possible, so that you can just increase your chances of that Treasurebind effect proccing. So dual wield is another exceptional ability here. He does not come with the skill, so you would have to have Sandworm at level 10 and teach him this skill in order for him to take advantage of it. But think of it like this. We know that per hit, Yashamaru is, with this current setup, getting ×2 from triple impact. He's getting 2 extra attacks. Double impact is giving him a 3rd extra damage number, and impact has a chance for him to have a 4th. So let's say ideally impact, procs, and double impact and triple impact are giving you the other 3 extra attacks. With dual wield, you then double that. So now he has 8 extra attacks. That is 8 chances for his Treasurebind ability to proc. I don't know the specific percentage chance, which we can actually check. Lake's Gold Mine site, the best website for Last Cloudia. If you haven't already checked it out, I'm going to link it in the description so you can go explore it yourself, get more familiar with it. But if we look up Treasurebind, okay, so it's a bit confusing. I had to go to the spreadsheet because Lake hasn't quite put units in his gold mine site yet, so we had to go to the spreadsheet. But here you go. Here's the exact percentage breakdown of what Treasurebind means, right? This is what it says. Chance for item after extra attacks from physical attacks, specials, or defeating an enemy. And here are your percentage chance. 1% chance to steal for pursuit attacks from regular attacks, 6% chance to steal for pursuit attacks from skills, 8% chance to steal for pursuit attacks from specials, and 20% chance to steal on kill. Okay, so pursuit attacks are referring to extra attacks. IDAS has used different terminology to explain the same thing, so the community has come up with pursuit attacks as the main term to address that random damage number that pops off your original damage hit. Okay, so now that we know that, you can see that the percentage chance is very low. Like I said, with dual wield, you have the potential at 8 additional extra attacks with your impacts, and that's for regular attacks only. Don't forget, I didn't really mention that. The impact skills only affect extra attacks for your regular attacks. And like it says here, that is a 1% chance to steal for pursuit attacks from regular attacks. So with 8 extra attacks per hit, you then increase that to an 8% chance mathematically to proc that steal. I don't want to get too into the exact numbers because that gets a little brain fry for a lot of people. But I wanted to just point that out, that the goal is to maximize the amount of extra attacks so that you are increasing your chances to the max amount in proccing those steals. Something Yashamaru also comes with is Shadow Clone, which is chance to evade physical attacks, but then skill/special have a chance to deal extra dark attacks. You can see that that trait is there to promote the use and the just to add extra attacks to Yashamaru's build to further promote his usefulness in farming. From Lake's spreadsheet here, it does say physical attacks, skills, and specials have a 20% chance to add that pursuit attack. So there you go. He's got a 20% chance to add one of those extra attacks to his actual skills S1, 2, and 3. If you don't know what I mean by that, S1, 2, and 3, and special, they all have a 20% chance to add a dark extra attack to the actual damage number, which then gives you those specific percentage chances to drop the item off of his other trait. Like I said, mathematically it becomes kind of a nightmare to try and understand. So the easiest way to understand it is you want to throw things on Yashamaru that give him extra attacks on top of his attacks. Other ways that you can do that are with the use of equipment. There are certain equipments that you'll see say adds an extra attack. So one that I can think of off the top of my head is this Grudge of the Earth. Like you can see in that trait, adds plant type, but then the next part, regular attacks deal extra earth damage. So if you then take that back to what I was talking about, the impacts, how we had a chance at 8 extra attacks per hit. With this item equipped specifically, we then increase it not by 1 but by 2 because we're taking advantage of dual wield. So then you have 10% chance off of your regular attacks to drop an extra item. If you notice, I'm not running an item that gives me any extra attacks off physical attacks. I am running a bow, and that is because I run Yashamaru, if you paid attention, with this arc at level 7. Now why would that be? Well, that's because Heaven's Bow Starlord is one of the best farming arcs for Yashamaru specifically, because if we read it, it states grants extra attack for each critical. And before that, when bow is equipped, critical rate plus 8%. So at that point, the strategy that I have built on Yashamaru is give him the bow so he gets that extra critical rate, stack a bunch of auto crits, anything that gives him extra critical, and then hope that these extra attacks proc off of the criticals with this arc equipped to him. Why level 7? Because if we edit the arc level, you can see that if I go 1 lower, it does disappear. So you do need the arc to level 7 to get that extra attack mechanic added to the skill. And then why don't you just run it at level 10? Well, that's because the arc then becomes that much more expensive to run. It goes from 420 to 220 red souls to run this. So it's kind of balancing, taking advantage of that effect and not spending the max amount of red souls that you have to, trying to save a little bit in that area. So that's why level 7 is that sweet spot for this arc, specifically for Yashamaru to take advantage of his extra attacks, giving you that percentage chance at a stolen item. So I've beaten to death why Yashamaru is excellent for farming, and the reason I regard him as one of the best farmers is because, as you saw, there are so many ways to give him so many chances at extra attacks that you have the best chances at a stolen item with Yashamaru, because it's just so easy to give him all types of different extra attacks in so many different ways, which can possibly trigger his steal on an extra attack. What are some other good farmers? Well, Phantom Thief Robin, who I did specifically call out in my reroll guide, or not my reroll guide, but my beginner's guide while you're rerolling. If you want to be crazy and try to go for him, it's because Yashamaru's not available on that infinite reroll banner. Only Phantom Thief Robin is. So he is going to be your best farmer that you can start out with due to his trait, Extort which is a chance to get an item when dealing critical damage with a physical attack. And like it says there, just like Yashamaru, but worded differently, 1 item per enemy. Like I said, you can only get your 1 stolen item and your 1 on kill item. A lot less thought needs to go into how to build PTR, which is the abbreviation for his name. You just want to stack as much critical as possible on him and lower his damage very low so that you can try and deal the most amount of criticals on a certain enemy before killing them to hopefully proc the extra steal. Because if I look at Lake's gold mine, it is only a 5% chance to steal the item on critical, and criticals are already a small percentage possibility when you are attacking enemies. So you can see that that chance at a stolen item is way less than like we saw with Yashamaru. His potential with all the different extra attacks can produce a stolen item much more efficiently than Phantom Thief Robin when you start looking at this specific percentage chances. Now, I don't have the other characters that I'm going to mention here, but I know Zaix is also considered a farmer because I believe he has a chance to steal an item when attacking an enemy from behind. If we're going in ranking, you got Yashamaru, right, with your most efficient. Then you got PT Robin second. Zaix is definitely under them because to have a chance when only attacking an enemy from behind is way less than your extra attack chances and your critical chances. The situation of being behind the enemy when you're attacking them, you gotta work way harder to try and achieve that than the before mentioned strategy. So that's why he's definitely number 3 on the efficient list. And then you've got OG Robin, who has a chance to only steal on kills. That is a very small chance due to the fact that you only can possibly get a stolen item when you kill the enemy. And at max level, it's only a 15% chance on kill. Yashamaru gets a 20% chance on kill. And before you actually kill the enemy, he's got all those other extra attack multipliers that can possibly give you a stolen item before you have to kill the enemy. So that's why Master Thief Robin is just way outdated, because the other 3, Zaix, PTR, and Yashamaru, you can all potentially steal an item before you end up killing the enemy, which just makes them way more efficient as a farming unit. And then, of course, I gotta mention Chrome, because a lot of people that are watching this may have him if you were playing during the Dr. Stone rerun and you picked him up. Why people were saying he's God tier for a brand new account is because he comes with a trait that has at max level 35% chance to drop the stolen item from enemies at the wave start. So you load into battle and boom, 35% chance for Chrome to steal the extra drop from enemies right there. 35% chance, not incredibly good. It's actually a good transition into talking about Beast Hunter, because that was the argument, is that if you have Chrome, you have a natural Beast Hunter every single wave, which is great for stealing items. 35% chance is where it's like a little meh, because like with Yashamaru and even PTR to some extent, you can get items a lot more reliably. You can almost guarantee yourself a stolen item versus a 35% chance, and then Chrome kind of dishes out a lot of damage, which might kill the enemy before they have a chance to drop a stolen item. But we can use Chrome to transition into Beast Hunter. Why is that effect so powerful, and why is Beast Hunter arguably the best arc in the game? Well, one, it's because it's an SR, so every account is going to have this one. And the fact that it's an SR means that you can get duplicates for it fairly easily. You can also use extensions, which are, you are produced by duplicates whenever doing summons, or using these prayer stardusts, which if you haven't already maxed out Beast Hunter's arc skill, which as you can see does require a total of 50 Beast Hunters, whether that be 50 duplicates or 50 extensions, 50 prayer stardusts, you have to pump 50 extensions into the arc skill in order to max it out to level 10. At level 10, when you proc Beast Hunter, it is a guaranteed extra drop from whatever enemies you're facing in that wave but beware, you can only use an arc skill once per stage, not per wave, once per stage. So that's the idea that I kind of showcased in the beginning of this video. When we got to that final wave of the gear upgrade field, whenever there's a boss in a farming stage, they tend to drop the rarest item possible out of that entire stage. So if you used Beast Hunter there, you are guaranteed at least a stolen version of that item, right? The stolen item from that boss and whatever other enemies are there, and then a chance at a second drop of that item. That is typically more rare amongst most. Why you want to get Beast Hunter to level 10 as fast as possible is so that you can take advantage of that 100% chance to steal on the final wave. Then you guarantee yourself at least 1 out of the 2 drop pools from those enemies. I think Beast Hunter is at a 35% chance at arc skill level 4, if I'm not mistaken. So at level 4, it's just not as reliable if you pay attention to when you use Beast Hunter. If you've got the arc skill at level 4, you're going to notice you're not getting guaranteed drops a majority of the time from your enemies. It's really at level 10 that it becomes extremely efficient because it turns into 100%. But that is why it's very common, and it is very useful to have Chrome for auto farming. Since auto farming, you are doing no manual control and you're just relying on the AI to consistently run a stage. Having Chrome on the team gives you that 35% chance to just steal items without you needing to do anything. So yes, for farming, Chrome is God tier. I should say for auto farming, Chrome is definitely God tier. He's definitely not necessary, and he definitely is not as useful when it comes to manual farming like Yashamaru and Phantom Thief Robin, which you have to do for your stages in the event tab, like the Grand Ability Gates, the Gear Upgrade Field like I showcased, your Limit Breaker fields, right? Those are things you are going to need to manually farm, which in that sense, Yashamaru, PT Robin, they're going to be your most useful farmers there. And I did mention it in another video, but I just want to mention it again. There is a difference between the arc level and the arc skill level. You can see the arc level is right there where I'm tapping. The arc skill level is right here where I'm tapping. These are 2 separate numbers, right? This one you upgrade by increasing with your blue souls, I believe is what this arc needs. The Beast Hunter skill, the active arc skill, you use by going to your extensions and using your duplicates to increase that actual arc skill. Do these numbers affect each other? Not at all. If I go and I run the stage, you can even see right here, I am running Beast Hunter at level 1. I'm not running it at level 10 because at level 10 it would cost me 3,300 blue souls to expend versus level 1 it costs me 84. So that gives you that idea there. And like I said, the actual arc level does not affect the arc skill level. Even at level 1, the arc skill will activate at 100% because that's what I have it at arc skill level 10. Kind of confusing, right? A lot of this stuff is confusing until you do it and then you practice it enough to kind of get the feel for it and what's actually going on. I'm trying to think of anything else that I'd want to talk about here, but I feel like I would be beating a dead horse at this point. Farming, like I said, just to kind of recap, you got 2 item drop pools. You got your stolen item chance and your on kill item chance. Each one of the units that I mentioned has their own unique farming mechanic built into them. So that's going to determine what skills you want to try and put on that unit to take advantage of those certain traits. Like I said, Yashamaru is extra attacks. PTR is critical attacks. Zaix is backstabs, is attacking from behind the enemy, which you can't actually add any skills to help him with that. You just have to manually put Zaix behind the enemy and hope that you kill them while they're facing away from you. Much less reliable. OG Robin has a chance to steal on kill, so you might see like 2 chests drop after you defeat an enemy, but then again, that's a very low chance and a very, like, you have 1 shot, and if you miss it, it's not happening. Chrome is very useful for auto farming because he gives you 35% extra drops when you are running the stage on auto. You're not manually controlling. Otherwise, if his trait doesn't proc and then he kills the enemy, you lost your chance at an extra item versus letting Yashamaru deal all the damage, do all the killing. As you can see, like, that's why I have Yashamaru as the only DPS. Ruto's kind of there just to be extra healing, and a tank to draw all the enemies into one spot, so then Yashamaru can attack and deal the killing blow. So then he's taking advantage of all the chances possible to actually steal an item. So each unit is specific in how you need to tailor them, but I hope I did an okay explanation at each one specific one. I hope I gave some clarification to new players on how stealing works. You can't just infinitely steal from an enemy, right? You can only get one stolen drop and one actual drop after the enemy is defeated. Oh, I should mention, right, arcs, like I said, recap on arcs. Heaven's Bow Star-Lord is really good for Yashamaru to take advantage of that extra attack on critical gimmick, and Beast Hunter obviously is a staple. You need to get that arc skill maxed so that you can activate it on those crucial waves, that you can get those really good drops from enemies. And also an arc that I don't have, which is Great War of Ruin. It's a UR arc that is definitively, I think, the best UR arc in the game. It gives you a 50% extra chance for the enemy to drop an item on defeat, and that is specific to the other drop pool of when an enemy dies. If they have a chance to drop an item, they will drop an item. It's not talking about the stolen item pool. That's Yashamaru, Beast Hunter, PT Robin's gimmick. Great War of Ruin, or GWOR, gives that 1.5 times chance for that actual enemy to drop an item at all. So that's going to be your perfect combo. If I could, I would run an extra, maybe Spirit Maiden Tyria in this middle slot, just to give extra heals, but really just to be there to house GWOR in that third slot. So then I'm maxing my efficiency and getting extra attacks on PT Robin, and then I also have a 0.5 times multiplier for that actual enemy to drop an item after I've stolen an item from them. Okay, I'm gonna be listening back to this and seeing how confusing I just made all of that, but without trying to explain it, you really don't understand it at all. It took, you know, my people telling me how farming works multiple times for me to really digest it. So I wanted to make this video and hopefully provide a lot of help and insight into how farming works. And that's the best I can do for now. So guys, subscribe for more Last Cloudia content, tips and tricks. Hit that notification bell so that you know when I post videos and they don't get lost in the YouTube algorithm. And hit that like button if this helped you in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, comment down below any of my pros and veterans out there that have some more info that I didn't quite maybe talk about, or if I misspoke on anything, please feel free to correct me. And for my newbies, read the comments to get even more help, tips, and tricks. That's all I got for you this time, guys. So with all that being said, y'all know what we say: work hard, play harder. See you in the next video.